Today we're going to make our review video for Chapter 12, Section 5, Chapter 12, Section 5, and the learning target for Chapter 12, Section 5 is to predict the actions of a large group by using the sample, a sample. Well, we've got a number of terms that we need to define here, so let's start with through those definitions. A sample is a randomly selected group chosen for the purposes of collecting data, so it's randomly selected. Population, the entire group of items or individuals from which the samples under consideration are taken. So the sample is the smaller portion that we take to measure, and then the population is the environment or the size of the group as a whole. Unbiased sample is a sample that is selected so that it is representative of the entire population, A simple random sample, a sample where each item or person in the population is as likely to be chosen as any other. In other words, there's no bias in the selection process. Stratified random sample, a sampling method in which the population is divided into smaller, non-overlapping groups. A simple random sample is then selected from each group. So we break it up into groups, and then we take a smaller sample from each of the groups. A systematic random sample, a sampling method in which the items or people are selected according to a specific time or time interval. And convenience sample, a sample which includes members of the population that are easily accessed. And voluntary responses sample, a sample which involves only those who want to participate or do so by volunteering. All right, we're going to try and summarize all this data as much as we can. A simple random sample. Each item or person in the population is as likely to be chosen as any other, so there's no bias. An example, each student's name is written on a piece of paper, placed in a hat or a bowl, and the numbers are picked out without looking. So that is a simple random sample. A stratified random sample, the population is divided into similar non-overlapping groups. A simple random sample is then selected from each group. Students are placed at random, are picked at random from each grade. So the grade level becomes the groups, and then we pick a small group or a small sample from each of the groups. So a small group from each of the grade levels. Systematic random sample, the items or people are selected according to a specific time or item interval. Every 20th person is chosen from an alphabetical list of all students attending the school. So the population would be all students. The sample would be every 20th person on the list. Carrying on, convenience sample. Convenience sample includes members of a population that are easily accessed or easily located, easily contacted. To represent all the students attending the school, the principal surveys the student in one particular math class, one class chosen at random. Voluntary response sample. Voluntary response sample involves only those people who want to participate in the measurement. Students at a school who wish to express their opinion are asked to complete an online survey. So only those who choose to respond are part of the group. Determine whether the conclusion is valid. Justify your answer. To determine which school lunches students like most, the cafeteria staff surveyed every 10th student who walked into the cafeteria. Out of 40 students surveyed, 19 students stated that they liked the burgers best. The cafeteria concluded that about 50% of the students like the burgers. First of all, it is valid because it is a system. So it is a systematic, random, simple, and it is unbiased. It is unbiased. All right. Determine whether the conclusion is valid. Justify your answer. Determine whether to determine what ride is most popular. Every 10th person to walk through the gates of a theme park are surveyed. Out of the 290 customers, 89 stated they prefer the Zip. The park manager concludes that about 1/3 of the park's customers prefer the Zip. It is valid. It is a valid conclusion. It is systematic. And it is random. And his conclusion is about right because it would be 98 out of 290, and that is very close to 33%. Determine whether the conclusion is valid. Justify your answer to determine what sports teenagers like. Janet surveyed the student athletes on the girls field hockey team. The girls field hockey team, of these 65% that they like field hockey the best, Janet concluded that over half the teenagers like field hockey. It is not valid. It is not valid. It was biased in its conception. She only asked those people that played field hockey. So if they play field hockey, the greater likelihood is that they're going to like field hockey, and therefore it is biased, and it was just based on convenience. She did it for convenience. It was for convenience. Determine whether the conclusion is valid. Justify your answer. Determine whether people prefer dogs or cats. A research surveys 80 people at a dog park. Of those surveyed, 88% they prefer dogs. So the researcher concluded that that most people prefer dogs. It is not a valid survey. It is biased because they went to a dog park. The people who go to a dog park are more likely to have dogs and like dogs. So that is not valid, and it is biased, and it was based on convenience. The student council is trying to decide what type of books to sell at its annual book fair to help raise money for the 8th grade trip. It surveyed 40 students at random. The books they prefer are on the table. If 220 books are to be sold at the book fair, how many should be mysteries? Well, mysteries, it says 12 out of my 40. 12 out of my 40 prefer mysteries. 12 out of 40 is 0.3 or 30%. So 30% of my books should be mysteries. So 220 times 0.3, which is 30%, of course. 220 times 0.3 means that 66 of the books purchased should be mysteries. The student shop sells pens. It surveys 50 students at random. The pens they prefer on the table. If 300 pens are to be sold at the student shop, how many should be gel pens? Well, it says 22 of the survey group preferred, so 22 out of 50 preferred gel pens. 22 out of 50 is 44% or 0.44. 0.44 times the total to be purchased, 0.44 times 300. 0.44 times 300 is 132. So 132 gel pens should be purchased. Thank you.